Angel Reese. She might have tapped out, y'all. Angel Reese may have tapped out and quit on the Chicago Sky. Everybody is speculating. What is this back injury? What's going on? Hey.
Angel Reese just walked out on the Chicago Sky. Again. No heads up, no filter, just gone. Fans are livid, teammates are in shock, and the whole situation is unraveling faster than a reality show meltdown. Is this the final chapter of her WNBA story, or the setup for her wildest move yet? What went down behind the scenes will leave you speechless, and trust me, you're not ready for it.
The world wants to know. The whole world is wondering, where in the world is Batman? I'm joking. I want to know, as Chicago Sky fans, women's basketball, WNBA, Angel Reese fans, where in the world?
Angel Reese quitting on the Chicago Sky is about as shocking as finding out water's wet. I called this weeks ago, but now everyone's acting like it's the sports scandal of the century. Let's be real, this isn't some grand twist, it's classic Angel. She's got a PhD in self-promotion but flunks the basics of discipline. She's not built for the grind, the hustle, the dirty work that wins games. She's built for the spotlight, the cameras, the clicks, the chaos. And the moment the lights dim or the work gets tough, she vanishes faster than a clutch free throw under pressure.
Experiencing. I find it very symbolic, very almost funny but not funny. Not funny haha, but funny sad, that out of all the bodily injuries that Angel Reese, a player, could experience, she's experiencing a back injury. Her back is literally hurting. And is it because that she is tired of carrying the weight of the Chicago Sky on her back, being that floor general and that floor leader? Did the Chicago Sky break Angel Reese's back?
This whole Rookie of the Year debate between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese? Let's stop pretending it was ever real. It was only close in the same way I'm close to owning a private jet, purely imaginary and fueled by people desperate to keep the storyline alive. The media milked it because drama sells, and Clark dominates everyone, doesn't exactly keep the clicks coming. But let's be honest, the only reason Reese stayed in the conversation is because she is the conversation. She's loud, bold, and built for headlines, the algorithm's dream. But when you turn down the hype and look at the game tape, the numbers didn't shout greatness. They barely whispered, maybe next season.
Listen, everybody is ablaze right now. Everybody's wondering, what is really going on with Angel Reese? Has she just flat out quit again? Has she quit on the Chicago Sky? Angel, you gotta be, hold on, you have to have some level of self-awareness here. Last year with the Chicago Sky, you quit. You threw in the towel. Once you realize you no longer, you never stood a chance, to be honest, with Caitlin Clark for that Rookie of the Year. But once you realize your double streak was over, and it was over. She took over post-Olympic break. Once you realize it was done.
And you know who's really to blame for this whole circus? Everyone who kept hyping her up like she was basketball's second coming for doing the absolute bare minimum. Every commentator who turned a meaningless double-double into a legendary performance. Every fan who mistook attitude and side-eye for leadership. You built the myth, fed the machine, and now it's too big to control. You turned mediocrity into a marketing campaign, and the Chicago Sky are paying the price. Because when you hand the keys to someone who never planned on driving, don't act surprised when the whole season winds up stranded in a ditch.
Yeah, she did wear the villain role on her sleeve, no doubt about that. She didn't do a lot to help herself when she was winning the NCAA championship last year against Iowa, and she was taunting Caitlin Clark. But did we forget that Caitlin Clark had been doing the same thing to numerous opponents throughout that season last year? That it wasn't until she was humbled in that national championship game against LSU that she dialed it back a little bit? You can't want to be the villain. You can't pride yourself in being the villain, and then you lose, and all of a sudden you succumb to those emotions. That is true to some degree. But usually when you lose and you have an opportunity to sit back and reflect, there's a mountain of emotions that get heaped on your shoulders, and it's hard to hold it in. Not to mention when teammates are coming to your defense because they realize how the insults against you have been so personal.
Chicago was never home for Angel Reese. It's just Maryland 2.0, another flashy pit stop on her endless Look at Me tour. She's already eyeing her next LSU, a ready-made, star-studded roster where she can drop in, let the real workers handle the grind, and then strike a pose when it's time for the photo ops. That's her whole playbook. Skip the foundation, ignore the blueprints, and slide right into a move-in-ready championship house. She's not the architect, not the builder, not the engine that makes it run. She's the tenant who shows up after the sweat and sacrifice are done, rearranges a few things, and then takes the credit for how great it all looks.
Taking to something that isn't. She's got a back injury. Like, I'm not going to be out here saying that Angel Reese needs to go out and play through a damn back injury. I just don't think is the case, especially when your team is as bad as it is. Like, absolutely just stinking it up constantly. Like the Chicago Sky.
The Sky absolutely did this to themselves when they drafted Angel Reese. They didn't just buy a ticket to the Angel Reese show. They bought front row season-long seats to every dramatic exit and every "I'm not feeling it" performance. And let's be real, if Reese ever threw in the towel, it'd probably take her 4 tries just to get it to land anywhere near the court. Yeah, I laughed too. The truth is simple. Angel plays for Angel. Not for her teammates, not for the fans, and definitely not for the franchise. She craves the spotlight, the sponsorships, the interviews, the Instagram moments. But the second things get tough, poof, she's gone. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, is wired completely differently. You can see it in every possession. She doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the gym because she's the one hitting the shots that make the gym erupt. Reese checks the lighting, Clark checks the scoreboard. One rookie is building a career. The other is building a brand and praying no one spots the difference.
You threw in the towel, said your wrist was hurting for the rest of the year. You threw in the towel and said your wrist was hurting for the rest of the year and didn't play again. This past the inaugural season of Unrivaled, you didn't even finish that season. You didn't even show up for the championship. No, not only did you not play, you didn't even show up to the game at all. People noticing a pattern with you. That's 2 seasons in a row.
And let's talk about leadership for a second. Real leaders own the moment. They carry the weight when things fall apart and hand out credit when things go right. Angel Reese? She treats accountability like it's contagious. You'll never hear her say, "That one's on me." Instead, it's the same old shrug, the same side eye, the same energy that screams, "Everyone else is the problem." But here's the truth. When your whole game plan is riding coattails, you can't admit you're the one slowing the horse down. Chicago doesn't need a passenger. They need a builder. Someone who grinds in the dark, who studies film, who puts in the 6 a.m. work that no one sees. But Reese? She's a permanent passenger, all comfort, no construction. She wants the confetti, the perks, the cameras, but not the grind that earns them. The wild part is she'll still get more attention for quitting than most players get for winning. That's the luxury of being a brand-first athlete. The headlines keep coming whether you show up or not. And when you walk out twice, it stops being an incident, it becomes your identity. Angel Reese has officially turned disappearing into an art form. She's not the WNBA's next superstar, she's its Houdini. The great disappearing act, just without the mystery.